Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to talk about 10 things that every software engineer slash programmer slash developer should avoid. Now, these are some of the things that can really help you grow as an engineer and could also be a hurdle for you growing. Now, before we jump into it, I would highly suggest that you subscribe to the channel because a lot of you people don't do that. And this really helps the channel grow and it's absolutely free. Now, without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that you should avoid being a software engineer is thinking that your way is always the best or the right way. So you are a software engineer and you're smart, but that doesn't give you the right to be a jerk with everyone else, which means that you cannot be rude to others. Which means if you're suggesting something, if you're suggesting an idea, a proposal, that doesn't mean that you're going to be always right, which means that you might have a solution that is good, but there could be also someone in your team who might have a better idea or a suggestion. So it's always a good idea to be open minded, which means that you listen to others, and that does two things. One, it makes it easier for everyone to work with you as a team member. And second, consider that you have juniors or peers in your team, so this gives them a chance to express their ideas, to grow, and kind of be involved in the decision process instead of you imposing your ideas always. And if you are being like that all the time, that my solution is the right one and why are you not accepting my solution, it's going to be really tough for you as a team member to grow essentially, and people might not even like working with you. The second thing that I want you to avoid is not looking at the documentation or not reading the documentation. Now, every good framework, library, or tool is supposed to have a good documentation. And if the one that you are trying to use doesn't have it, maybe try switching to something else. But if you got a question about something, for example, let's talk about finding a particular hook in React. The best way to look at that or to find it is to the official documentation. Now, you might be arguing that, hey, I could also go to Stack Overflow or YouTube for a video, but the thing is that the answers there or the video on YouTube might be outdated, while the documentation is the source of truth of the latest state of the library or the tool itself. So, looking at the documentation should be always at a higher priority than searching on Stack Overflow or watching a YouTube video. The third thing you should be avoiding as a software engineer is having an obsession with tools. Now, I get these questions every day: React versus Angular, Vue.js versus Svelte, Chrome versus Internet Explorer. You get the idea, right? We shouldn't be focusing on tools themselves, but rather the solutions that we build, the way we help individuals and businesses, because tools change every day. You're learning something today, but it might not be as relevant tomorrow, or things might change. The APIs would change, the syntax would change, the way we develop things would change. But the problems and the solutions, they most likely would just evolve, but would also help you out as you grow. So instead of being all about technologies, like I know this tool and that tool, it's going to be really helpful for you as a software engineer to grow in terms of thinking what problems I'm solving or how I engineer different stuff. So I hope you get my point. The fourth thing that should be avoided as a software engineer is not focusing on your personal well being. Now, being a software engineer requires a lot of effort. It also requires being focused and also being healthy. Now, you might be thinking that, hey, I am a programmer, I can just go to my desk, do all the work. But imagine that your brain is absolutely active and your body is really tired. Now, that happens to me quite often. At 3 a.m. at night, let's suppose my mind is like, hey, let's do this, let's do that, let's add this particular feature to the open source project that you have built. But my body is like, nah, just go to bed, I'm so tired. And that would happen. Now, in order to work and be really productive, you would have to be mentally really stable and also physically fit as well. Now, I'm not talking about having six pack abs and being ripped, but doing some exercise every now and then and also getting good sleep will basically help you being physically fit. And when it comes to mentally, this is where I would focus more, Because mentally, if you are stressed, if you're having trouble, if there's something in your life that's going on really wrong, please talk to someone. Talk to your peer, talk to your friends, talk to your family. It's really important for your work that you focus on your mental health as well, because in general, your well being is going to be with you far more than your career. The fifth thing to avoid is following requirements blindly. Now, as a software engineer, your job is to make scalable and robust products to help out individuals and businesses. That means that you are putting a lot of focus and a lot of efforts and hard work into building something that you own. It's part of your portfolio, it's part of your experience. And for me, all of my projects are just like my children. So I make sure that I own them and I build them the best way possible. Now, when you get requirements and you follow them blindly, that means that you're not putting your own ideas, suggestions to them, which could have helped this business or this project grow a lot more. And no one is going to tell you that, hey, just keep your mouth shut, follow the requirements blindly, because that's not what it is all about. As much as possible, you can challenge the status quo, which means that if you're following previous traditions or practices that might not be relevant and they're better alternates right now, you can politely suggest them. Again, make sure that the first point that I mentioned was your way might not be the right way always, but you can still try to improvise, you can still try to suggest to make sure that whatever you're building is par excellence. The sixth thing that we are going to talk about is not shipping stuff until it's perfect. And this is a mistake that a lot of businesses and developers do. Now, the time it takes to make something perfect sometimes takes so much that the value of the product or the feature itself doesn't hold anymore. Now, this is true for MVPs. For example, if you're launching a product to your customers, it might be the case that you take a lot of time to ship it, and by the time you already have a lot of competitors in the market, or the time frame of launching that product at its potential or peak is now lost. Same goes for developers who have to ship different code or different features. Now, if you spend a lot of time into just making things perfect, you might be hurting the deadlines or the timelines a lot, which is not really good for businesses, especially for consultancy firms who kind of are obliged to deliver things timely to their clients, right? So the approach here should be make it work, make it fast, and then make it perfect. The seventh thing that we are going to talk about is not reaching out for help. This is very common in junior software engineers, even seniors as well. Now, the thing is that as a team member and as a programmer, you should always be open to getting help from other peers. That saves time, that saves your energy, and that also kind of reduces your stress level. Now, I'm not talking about pinging your peers or juniors or seniors every time you get stuck. That's not really practical because they also have work to do. But you can always try something yourself first. Let's say spend 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever your threshold is. And once you still see that, hey, I'm stuck, you can always reach out to someone who can help you out. And obviously, this depends on a lot of factors like what is the deadline and what feature you're working on. And I cannot recall how many times even juniors have taught me so many things which I couldn't have the time to learn myself. So always reach out to your peers or your juniors or your senior whenever you get stuck, especially as I said in the deadlines, because when you have to ship something and you get stuck on something and keep trying to do it yourself on and on and on without asking for help, that kind of hurts the delivery. Now, I actually had one of my peers who got fired after repeatedly kind of performing the same mistake, which means that he spent a lot of time perfecting every feature that he built, and that hurt the deadlines because we had certain timelines and we needed to ship in a kind of time critical way. Now, if he reached out to either me or someone else in the team and we helped in kind of delivering this faster, things might be different. So this is just an example that might not be the same for every company out there, but still something that you should be considering. You have to take care of all of the factors like what is the timeline, how critical is the feature, when do we have to ship it, do we have the time to make it perfect, or If I'm stuck, can I spend a lot of time into fixing this, or should I just go and reach out someone for help just to get this done? So make sure that you're reaching out for help and you're open to do that. This is one of the traits that companies really look into developers. The eighth thing that I want you to avoid is thinking always that your code will be utilized. Now, let's be honest, we are programmers and we love our code and we love to see that our code is being utilized by a lot of customers. Now, that might not be always the case, and know that there would be several things that you would build, but they will not end up in production. And that's fine. Know that this is not about you or me. As long as we are providing value to our customers, that's completely fine. That means that if you have built 5 features and out of those 5 features, the one that is your favorite, if it's not shipped to production, that's completely fine. And that would happen. So you have to expect it as well. So it should not be an ego problem like I spent so much time on this one, why isn't being shipped to the production? Because there could be multiple reasons for that, and that would happen. So be prepared for that one and don't think your work is always going to be utilized. I can give you one example from my own experience is in one of the companies that I worked in, I spent 2.5 years working on a large scale applications that never shipped to production. That's right, not even today. And I built that like 5 years ago. So that's that. You gotta expect that your things might not go to production. The ninth thing that I want you to avoid is not adding value when you see an opportunity. And that means that if you look at something in the code that you can fix, then take it as an opportunity to fix it right away, given that you have time for it again. Now, do not ignore it just because the feature or the part of the code was implemented by someone else. Of course, you can ask them if they have plans to improve that code or fix that code. But if not, you can spend time to fix that, because no one would ask, hey, why did you make this feature 3 times faster? Are you insane? Are you crazy? Where do you get all the time? No one is gonna ask you that. And believe me, whenever I have done that, I've been really praised. And the 10th thing that I want you to avoid, and the final thing, is not helping others grow, especially your juniors. Now, this is the heart of growing yourself and those around you as well. Juniors essentially are an integral part of any organization or team because they are the one that makes us leads. If there's no junior, who would I lead? How would I build up my leadership skills if there's no junior in the team? And when they become senior and then when they grow, they actually start taking off workload from you to themselves. And you can see that the whole team, the whole company is growing. So help them grow, give them a chance to express their ideas, give them the room for growing, and also mentor them whenever possible. And it's not just about juniors. Grow everyone in your team. Help out your QAs, help out your project managers in becoming the better version of themselves. You can always suggest different practices that you find online or from your past experience even. But remember that when we work as a team and then the team grows, you are growing with that team. So make sure that you have this team spirit within you when you're working in an organization or in a team. And that's pretty much it for this video. I told you 10 things that we should be avoiding as a software engineer / programmer / developer. And if you integrate these things within your daily life, I actually imagine that you're going to be doing really good. If there's something that I've missed, or if you have a suggestion similar to these ones, make sure to write them in the comments. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And if you like the video, press the thumbs up button. That really helps the channel grow. Now, I'm going to see you in the next video. Until then, happy coding.